Health has become quite a vague term as of the last few years, hasn't it? Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing is not my place to say. I just find it fascinating, watching the black and white get grayer and grayer. In the early 1960s, President John F. Kennedy greenlit the introduction and maintenance of a high school fitness program, infamously known as the Lassier Physical Education Program, named after Lassier High School, where the program originated. It was designed by Stan Laprati, a World War II veteran and physical education teacher who was disgusted to learn that American boys had fallen behind European boys in physical prowess statistics following the war. With that in mind, he devised a plan, which he dubbed the Lassier Physical Education Program, a program so intense and grueling that its results nearly matched that of the United States Marine Corps. This caught the attention of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who pushed for the program to become the norm, to which his successor, John F. Kennedy, agreed. And under the Kennedy administration, Lassier was being implemented across the country.
People of America, about a subject which I believe to be most important, and that is the subject of physical fitness. And I speak not only as President of the Union, but also as a parent of two children, who I hope will grow up with those qualities of vigor and energy which we identify with the best of America. This should be a matter of concern to us all. A country is as strong really as its citizens. And I think that mental and physical health, mental and physical vigor go hand in hand. I hope that we will not find a day in the United States when all of us are spectators except for a few who are out on the field. I hope all Americans will be on the field. That is, they will concern themselves with the education of their children, with the physical development of their children, with the participation in the vigorous life, and then also as their children get older, inculcate into them a desire to maintain that vigor through their normal life. Our citizens are living longer, and we want them to participate fully in that longer life. But they can only do so if they give some of their time and some of their effort to maintaining that vitality. This is a subject which should be of interest to us all. And I hope when we have seen the astonishing results which we have seen from our work in a few schools across the country, where we've been able in the short space of 2 and 3 months to change the physical habits and strength of our children, that this will spread to every school district in the United States, that all of us will participate in the life around us, and in so doing will be better citizens and happier ones.
The program utilized a wide variety of physical tests spanning multiple disciplines of exercise, such as calisthenics, gymnastics, swimming, running, combat sports, and team sports. The challenges were meant to strengthen the students' mental toughness and reinforce values such as discipline, resilience, pain tolerance, and motivation. But most important of all, Lassier instructors were heavily urged to promote the why of physical fitness. That is, the reason the pain of exercise is worth the reward. As a Lassier student, you were constantly being tested, and through the results of these tests, you would be placed in teams matching your skill level. The white trunks were for beginners, red trunks intermediate, and blue trunks were advanced. Your team placement was dependent on your performance in what Lassier instructors called the ceiling performance test, which was an exam comprised of each of the exercise disciplines, in which the student would have to break the ceiling of their current rank, meaning beat a benchmark for every exercise. Beyond the 3 main teams, the elite performers of the Lassier program could become members of one of 3 more coveted teams: purple, gold, and the much later addition, navy blue. Navy blue was the highest ranking a Lassier student could achieve, and required near inhuman feats to accomplish, so much so that only 20 students in the history of the program earned the right to wear them. The grueling and torturous ceiling performance test for Navy blue consisted of 52 parallel bar dips, 34 consecutive horizontal bar push-ups, 50 handstand push-ups, 26 90-second sets of burpees, a sub 48-second 300-yard shuttle run, a sub 17-second agility run, 108-inch extension press-ups, 5 trips up and down the vertical pegboard, a 45-second handstand, a 5-mile run carrying another student, a sub 6-minute mile run, a 5-mile jog, an obstacle course, a 1-mile front position swim, a 50-yard underwater swim, a 2-mile any position swim, the ability to execute a front-hanging float with arms and feet bound in deep water for 6 minutes, and the ability to stay afloat in deep water in a vertical position within an 8-foot circle for 2 hours. The Lassier program created a generation of some of the strongest and most physically capable men and women of the entire 1900s. But despite the undeniable results, the program would quickly fall under the pressure of accusations, most of which were from progressive protesters calling the program cruel and unrealistic. By 1983, Lassier High School closed down, with the infamous program soon following. Without international conflict and a need for almost every young man to be war-ready performance, national ideology began to shift from emphasizing the importance of strength and general fitness to a higher emphasis on team sports. Over its 20-plus year span, the Lassier program reached 4,000 schools, and overall, it cannot be denied that the program achieved its goal of improving America's overall physical ability. So much so that Stan Laprati passed away, knowing that even for a short time, America was the world's leading producer of top-level athletes. But many would be relieved to know that the sentiment Stan carried in his daily life was not one that died with him, and actually existed before him, and endured long after the death of Lassier. Despite the focus of the nation moving to sports with the rise of American football and Major League Baseball, there was a minority of individuals who held a disinterest in complex sports and games, but rather took a keen interest in pushing the human body in the simplest of ways to the most extreme of degrees. In that, I am referring to the birth and perpetuation of bodybuilding, a sport defined by the simple act of amassing the most impressive physical condition possible, just for the sake of doing so. Bodybuilding originated out of the world of strongmen in the 1890s. Strongmen were often seen in sideshows and circuses, completing incredible feats of strength. In this time, strength was more of a tool used for entertaining rather than practical use. The idea of strongmen originated in Europe and quickly spread to the United States, and the shows evolved into competitions of reputation and popularity, where each strong man and woman would often attempt to one-up each other in feats of strength. The most common feats were things like bending metal pipes, lifting large amounts over one's head, and even ripping chains apart. Most strong men were renowned for their feats and did not often sport the physique of an athlete. Many simply valued size to do more impressive feats, a sentiment you can see emulated in modern strongman competition. And this was true for most men in this space, except for a man by the name of Eugene Sandow, known today as the father of bodybuilding. Sandow was a highly competitive strongman for many years and sported a physique unlike many of his competitors. Sandow stood out in the strongman community by being lean enough to sport a visible six-pack while maintaining large shoulders and arms. To capitalize on this, Sandow began posing during his shows, until his fans began following him not for his feats of strength, but simply his incredible physique. Until 1939, a small group of strongmen began following Sandow's lead. However, many still competed in strongman, because there was no such thing as physique gyms or competitions, and steroids were years and years away from being created. However, the community grew large enough to recognize that they had a place and identity outside of that of strongmen. By 1940, the silver era of bodybuilding had begun when the AUU founded Mr. America in 1939. Mr. America was the first of its kind, a competition that did not depend on feats or performance, but mere size and impressiveness alone. The July 1939 Mr. America competition is often credited as the first large-scale bodybuilding competition ever created. While there were many like it beforehand, this was the first to gain national attention. And the king of the silver era of bodybuilding was a man by the name of John Grimmick, who won Mr. America in 1940 and 1941, which caused the AUU to create a rule keeping previous winners from competing. Despite this, Grimmick competed in whatever competition he could for 9 years, and despite the rise in competition throughout this decade, Grimmick would retire as the first and only bodybuilder in history to go undefeated in professional competition. The silver era would last up until 1959 and saw great strides for the sport. Bodybuilding competitor Steve Reeves would appear in the movie Hercules, spawning a massive uptick in the interest in the sport, as many young men began idolizing the bodybuilding physique and associating with heroism and attractiveness. When World War II was in full swing, staying lean was not an issue, as hunger and rationing was not uncommon for people of this time. However, bodybuilders ate what they could, and the sport continued with slightly less competition for the duration of the war. By the end of World War II, Mr. Universe was founded. Seeing the success of Mr. America, a businessman by the name of David Johnson found great success in capitalizing on the rising popularity of the sport, and created Mr. Universe to coincide with the Olympic Games and create a higher bar to reach for those who had already won Mr. America. By 1958, the first performance-enhancing drugs, or steroid, would be invented. A drug by the name of Dianabol, created by Dr. John Ziegler. However, it is generally accepted by historians that steroid use amongst bodybuilders did not begin until the 1960s. For this reason, it might come of no surprise that the period of 1960 to 1983 is commonly known today as the golden era of bodybuilding, an era that saw the biggest names and largest growth rate of the sport. Regardless of the morality behind it, steroid use soared in the early 1960s, as bodybuilders began to self-experiment with the drugs, tweaking and testing its uses to fine-tune more and more impressive physiques. Natural bodybuilding still existed for most of the 1960s, and still exists today. However, during this era, there was no separate category. Quickly, natural bodybuilders realized that to compete in the sport at the highest level, one could not compete without the assistance of steroids. At this time, the side effects of these drugs were not known, and they could be purchased easily with nothing more than a prescription. These prescriptions during this time can be compared to the medical marijuana prescriptions today. A simple tall tale of experiencing excess fatigue, and doctors would have no problem prescribing any number of performance enhancers. During this time, the popularity of bodybuilding exploded, and one of the largest competitions to date, known as Mr. Olympia, was founded in September of 1965. From there, the sport evolved at a breakneck speed, and gave way for bodybuilders to achieve fame and fortune with their craft. One of the greatest examples of this would be the release of Pumping Iron from 1977, a movie starring and produced by Arnold Schwarzenegger, which started his rise to fame, along with his performance in Conan the Barbarian. He also had quite the personality.
The greatest feeling you can get in a gym, or the most satisfying feeling you can get in the gym, is the pump. As satisfying to me as coming is, as having sex with a woman and coming. So can you believe how much I am in heaven? I'm like getting the feeling of coming in the gym, I'm getting the feeling of coming at home, I'm getting the feeling of coming backstage when I pump up, when I pose out in front of 5,000 people, I get the same feeling. So I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific.
Many argue that the peak of the golden era came between 1977 and 1979, when Frank Zane won the title of Mr. Olympia 3 consecutive times. The reason this was considered significant to the era is because the general public saw Zane's physique as attainable compared to others. which resulted in an uptick in the number of people concerned with dieting and exercise, hoping to achieve a glimpse of a top-level physique. It was around this time that a man by the name of Arthur Jones, as well as some lesser-known inventors, created machines to isolate muscles and developed the first workout split system commonly seen today. Split systems referred to only working out specific muscle groups on specific days throughout a week to maximize their size. It was also around this time that the low-carb, high-protein diet became popular. These eating habits are still being used in bodybuilding to this day. The golden era would end with the rise of several legends in the sport. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, Larry Scott, David Draper, Sergio Oliva, Sergey Nubret, and Franco Columbu. By the start of 1984, bodybuilding had solidified itself as a competitive sport, with a major fan base and slew of competitors. The years of 1984 to 1999 go by many names, and some do not even consider it separate from the golden or modern eras at all. However, for those who do place it in its own category of history, this time frame is typically known as the Haney era, named after Lee Haney, a bodybuilder who utterly dominated the industry during this time. Lee Haney is known as a hybrid bodybuilder by those in the modern era. The reason for this is because Haney sported a different look than most golden era competitors. He remained quite lean as most golden era competitors did, but had a sheer level of mass never before seen on stage. It is believed it was Haney who laid the foundation for the modern, also known as mass monster, era of bodybuilding. By this time, many big names had moved on. Schwarzenegger began acting full-time, while many other golden era stars retired. It is debated what the outcome would have been had Haney met any of them on the competition stage. The defining factor of this era was a change in the judging that would change the fitness industry forever. In the golden and silver eras, competitions were judged mainly on aesthetics and symmetry. Who could produce the most symmetrical and aesthetically pleasing body while maintaining large size? This would change in the Haney era, as Haney's many victories laid the groundwork for judging to move in favor of pure mass building, and thus the game became less about symmetry and more about putting on the most size possible with the least amount of body fat. This seems to be how the sport ended up where it is today. From 1991 to today, we see the modern or mass monster era of bodybuilding, a sentiment displayed prominently by Mr. Olympia star Dorian Yates. Dorian was seen almost as a unicorn in the industry, with an inhuman ability to get even bigger each and every year he performed, clearly pushing his body to its absolute limit. This would catch up to Yates when, in his last year of competition in 1997, he would succumb to a bloated waist, a condition he attributed to his use of insulin. The end of Dorian's reign gave rise to a new star by the name of Ronnie Coleman. A lovable poster child for the industry, Ronnie is known for his charismatic charm and incredible size.
So nobody will lift this heavy ass weight. Go! I do it, go! Go! Oh, yeah! Come on! Oh, yeah! Make me, baby! Yeah! Yeah! All right, make me! Yeah, buddy! Yeah! Oh, yeah!
He would use this to win 8 consecutive Mr. Olympias before losing to Jay Cutler in 2006. By the mid-2000s, the sport began to see another shift, as the side effects of steroids began to rear their ugly head. Professionals of the mass era were starting to consistently experience distended stomachs, a side effects of drugs such as human growth hormone and insulin, combined with a calorie-dense diet. Not wanting to promote a deathly amount of performance-enhancing drugs more so than they already have, Mr. Olympia judges began firmly scoring those with distended stomachs lower in competition. Thus, from the 2010s into the early 2020s, the now most important aspect of Mr. Olympia training is building as much mass as possible whilst keeping one's stomach in check. It was also around the late 2000s that we saw the first glimpse of what would later become modern gym culture. Those who held many traits of competitive bodybuilders but did not compete themselves started popping up left and right. People who went on to build incredible bodies for seemingly no reason other than to impress the masses. And it worked. This led to stars such as Aziz Shavershain, known publicly as Ziz, who was a Russian-born Australian bodybuilder turned model. Ziz would never find himself as a medalist in a major bodybuilding competition, but his over-the-top, seemingly stereotypical personality would gain him incredible fame after posting multiple videos of himself to YouTube in 2007. This was significant for gym culture as it cultivated its own vocabulary and associated stereotypes, things usually only attributed to entire subcultures. In a sense, the rise of bodybuilding in gym usage created its own subculture, known in slang as gym bros, or as the great Z's put it, gym bras. From there, it was only a snowball effect. Despite Z's suffering an untimely death by a heart attack in 2011 at the age of 22, his spirit would live on in the form of memes. After spending many years under the radar, his videos would resurface in the late 2010s. Years after his passing, the language and culture of the gym has hit near peak, with some praising it and directly identifying with it, while others cry out against it, claiming that it's worshipping vanity and promoting abrasive and unpleasant personality types. Today, exercise regimens have been researched to an incredible degree, and the split system has remained constant and been proven effective for both bodybuilding and general health, and thus has been a stable trend in all fitness industries. Diet still remains consistent with the golden era, with a high-protein, low-carb diet generally accepted as the ideal physique-building diet plan. This leaves the sport of bodybuilding in a very interesting and seemingly turbulent place. The modern era saw the creation of some of the most advanced, highly potent steroids ever created in hundreds of variations. It appears the sport can go in many different directions at this point. Many call for steroids to find their way out of the sport entirely, hoping that a forceful transition into forced natural bodybuilding will quell the fans' need for more extreme, alien-like physiques and protect the health of competitors and avoid the drugs from becoming mainstream. Others wish the sport to return to its golden era roots by changing the judging to once again focus on symmetry and lean aesthetics rather than mass, and limit the use of certain substances. The hope with this is not to eliminate steroids as they are part of the sport and assist in creating a high-level physique, but contains the issue to prevent it from continuing to evolve and continue to demand unhealthier and detrimental standards that are likely to cause top performers in the sport to meet terrible health conditions, disability, or even death at a later age. Most of all, it aims to avoid the use of steroids by impressionable youth. Other groups say nothing should be done. They see the mass monster era as another page in the history books and believes people should decide how they wish to compete, and those who are willing to put everything on the line to be the very best should be rewarded for doing so. According to the 2022 US Census, 20.1% of Americans report working out almost every day. When only counting men, it's 21.2%, and when only counting women, it's 19.1%. When exercising, it found that this set of Americans spend on average an hour and a half exercising per session. Taking into account the entire population of the US, men spend an average of 0.33 hours per day exercising. Women spend an average of 0.25 hours a day, and when breaking it up by age, taking into account the entire active and inactive population, we see those aged 15 to 19 spend 0.56 hours a day on average exercising. 20 to 24-year-olds is 0.30 hours, 25 to 34-year-olds is 0.28 hours, 35 to 44-year-olds is 0.28 hours, 45 to 54-year-olds is 0.22 hours, 55 to 64-year-olds is 0.25 hours, 65 to 74-year-olds is 0.33 hours, and those 75 and up is 0.21 hours. This indicates that our most active sector is teenagers, and even they clock in at a mere 36 minutes of exercise per day on average. with the least active sector being the elderly at 13 minutes per day, and the median being 25 to 34-year-olds at 17 minutes per day. However, to understand the severity of this issue, it's important to know where we are coming from. No, I do not believe it is fair or accurate to compare the young adults of today to the rigorous training experienced by those who went through Lassier in the 1960s. However, I find it important to see how the trend is heading, looking at the last 10 years. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American spent 0.41 hours per day exercising in 2009. Compare that with today's 0.33 hours per day, and you would assume that a problem is occurring, and you'd be right. While there have been peaks and valleys over the last 10 plus years, the trend has been dropping since 2009, with the exception of 2019 to 2021, which saw one of the largest spikes in exercise amongst Americans during the entire decade at 0.44 hours per day. This can most likely be attributed to mass unemployment and access to free time that COVID-19 provided during this period, because as of 2023, the rate plummeted down to 0.33 hours per day, the lowest of the last 10 years. But it is not what is already known that I wish to explore. I don't plan to sit here and tell you what you already know. We all watched Super Size Me as kids. We know Americans are overweight and exercise has been declining. I will leave the solution to that problem to those smarter than me. What I want to explore is the gray area, the lines between the war-ready teenagers of Lassier, the peak bodybuilders of the golden era, the Goliaths of the mass era, and the overweight and inactive population we see in America today. In modern gym culture, we see a slew of social media influencers, some touting the newest meta for the ideal body, some lying about their use of steroids, and some being completely open and honest about their use. Some push adamantly for clean and natural health. Others are just trying to sell you some pre-workout. Supplements have flooded the market, and a billion-dollar industry continues to grow. It has reached a point where gym culture has acquired its own identity, its own language, mannerisms, and idols, worshipped like gods. Some see this as the hope we need, the culture that will bring forth a generation much like that of Lassier, a massive health revolution in which our children's children will be the epitome of strength and health. Others hold on vehemently to the idea of the gym bully and a culture that cradles that identity, breeding a cult-like ideology that worships vanity and unattainable beauty standards and shames others under the guise of health. The real question is, who is right? Are either of them right? What is health and why does the definition keep changing? Why are more categories of it being added every few years? It calls into question whether modern Americans will ever be able to fully understand what it means to live a healthy life. I, of course, don't have those answers, but I absolutely have the questions. And what better people to ask than those who have spent their lives in the heart of modern gym culture, those who have been shunned by it, and those who might have a perspective that might just open my eyes to the future of health and fitness. Right before I start talking. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Yeah, it looks fine. Okay. So how familiar are you with gym culture?
I don't really go to the gym that much. I do about 30 push-ups, 30 sit-ups a day with my boy Sal. I try to, but, our schedules are all messed up. So we get it in when we can. Am I subscribed to the gym? No. I maybe go to the gym to hoop. That's about it.
I think I am pretty familiar with gym culture.
I see it all over my social medias, but I don't actually go to the gym myself. I do work out, like push-ups and sit-ups every day, but that's about it.
I'd say I'm fairly familiar. I've been working out pretty consistently last few years. It's all over my social media, so yeah.
I know what gym culture is. I'm not physically familiar with it, as in I don't go to the gym, but yeah.
Culture as in you give me a gist of culture.
Gym culture as in you know what culture is.
Yeah, no
The group of people that go to the gym, how they act, their behaviors, what they post online. How familiar are you with that space?
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with it.
What's a typical week of eating and working out for you?
I just eat everything, and I work out 6 days a week.
30 push-ups, 30 sit-ups a day. Eating, I eat whatever, baby. That's the beauty of working out. You can eat whatever.
I work out 6 days a week. I do what they call as a bro split, which is pretty much just like 1 or 2 body parts a day. Nutrition-wise, I eat about 3,300 calories. At least I try to a day.
I pretty much eat anything. I eat like shit, to be honest with you, but yeah, I just do push-ups and sit-ups every day with my friends. Yeah.
Working out 5 times a week, at least, sometimes twice in a day, just depending on my regimen. Usually a lot of cardio, a little bit of strength training, and eating is also meal prepping. So it's, cooking once or twice a week, just so I have enough food, different meals, for 2 big meals a day, and for about 2 weeks when I meal prep.
Do you think the common mentality of someone who is really invested in gym culture and goes to the gym often is mostly positive, mostly negative, or somewhere in between?
I think it could be a mixture of both, because I know people go to the gym to better their mental, to have better God damn, can I not think of the word? There we go. Mental health. They go to the gym to better themselves as a person, and some people do go to the gym to better their bodies, but I think most do it for the betterment of their all-around physique, mental health, and all-around enjoyment in life.
I think it's mostly positive, but there's definitely some negative parts.
Like what?
Like, for example, steroid use and things like that.
I'd say for most people I meet, yeah, it's pretty positive. Most people in the gym are there to be healthy, stay strong. They're not really abusing anything. At least people I meet where I go.
Mostly positive, I'd say.
Why?
Every gym guy I meet is very like, oh, come to the gym with me, like, let's get big, like better yourself. Like, it's not like a toxic culture by any means.
Somewhere in between, because I've seen or I know people who take it just way too far. Like, it's not just for health anymore. They abuse it, but for the most part, I think it's a good thing,
I would say somewhere in between. Wouldn't say the gym is a necessity, but working out is a necessity. So you don't have to go to the gym. You just need to work out. You can do push-ups. You can go for a run. You can lift weights, go for a ruck, go hunting. There's different activities you do to stay in shape. The obsession with going to the gym isn't necessarily bad, but if you make it a priority over other things, that's where it becomes a problem.
Do you work out for health?
Yeah, I'd say I do. I also work out to also look good. You always want to look good.
Yes.
How so?
It's a lot of mental health and physical health.
Yeah, I work out for health. The gym really kind of made me a lot more disciplined about my nutrition. I think a lot of guys go in there trying to get strong, or bigger, and they don't really realize that there's other parts of their lives besides just the gym that they have to be, let's say, healthy in, like nutrition and all that.
Yeah, mostly it'd be more of a health thing than like a body positivity thing.
Yes, I work out for health.
Yeah, I work out mostly for health, and I don't know, just stay looking pretty decent.
At what point would you say that someone has stopped working out for health and has started working out for other reasons? If health was their original reason for working out, like, what is the surefire sign that they're no longer working out for health?
I don't really know, to be honest. I don't go to the gym enough to really dictate or to perceive that notion.
Probably when they start to damage themselves to look better.
I love wrestling. I wrestled for 8 years, but and it doesn't go just for wrestling, but it has to do like UFC, a ton of other Olympic sports where you got to make weight. So you could be like super cut, you could run top shape, you can lift like a mother trucker, but when you have to cut weight, you're cutting water weight, you're cutting essentials, you're not getting the vitamins and minerals that you need to be a functioning human being, let alone doing the activities that you subscribe for. So when you're doing that, the same thing with bodybuilding too, when you're doing that, that's unhealthy. Because you're participating in this culture, but you're also hurting yourself. it's the trade-off is yours. You're your own person. Do what you want. But you do understand that, it is unhealthy for you. On the other spectrum, too, it's like dirty bulking's not good. If you don't have a plan for your eating regimen and you don't have, like, a solid schedule to fit things in between work, we get it real hectic and doing stuff like that. But you got to stay true to something. Otherwise, it's just not going to work long-term.
I'd say probably PEDs or very excessive bulking.
Probably the second they start touching steroids while they're still like 20s, 30s, I think that's just, you're overdoing it and you're going to hurt yourself.
Eating too much, like bulking, like when people dirty bulk, like just 20 double cheeseburgers a week from McDonald's, like that type of shit. Where they're trying to, they're not
outside of the normal diet.
Yeah, they don't have like a diet going. It's just eat. Yeah.
And would you say like with the polar opposite as well, when they purposely eat too little?
Eat less, yeah. So yeah.
Do you think working out to look better is a good goal to have, or should people only work out for health?
I think no matter what, if you're working out, it's for a good reason. Even if it's just to look good, you still get the same benefits as if you're doing it to better your health.
Can the gym be taken too far?
In certain cases, yeah. I know some people have died in the gym. So you could be taken too far.
You should work out to look better.
Can that be taken too far?
Yes.
How so?
By using steroids and things like that.
To look good is fine. I mean, whatever gets you healthy. You can work out to look good, but that will make you healthy. If you work out just to be healthy, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to be super, like, built, cut, whatever.
I don't know. I think it's a good goal. I think it's why most people work out, and that kind of gets them more into health subsequently because of it.
Do you think people usually go to the gym to look better first and health actually becomes more important later?
100%, yeah.
I think working out to look better is as good a goal as health, I believe. Yeah.
And why is that?
Everyone wants to look good.
So it's justifiable and it's normal.
Completely justifiable, yeah.
I'd say it's a good goal to have. I mean, I think health should definitely be the main reason. But
there's nothing wrong with...
Yeah. Like, it's like if you're in the gym and you're like, oh, I'm starting to look good, like just lifting for health or exercising for health. And then you're like, oh, maybe I can look better, sort of carries.
How do you feel about those that are influencing the culture of the gym? Do you think most of them are doing it right? Do you think most of them are doing it wrong? And if you think most of them are doing it wrong, how could they do it better?
It just depends on what you go to the gym for, because I know some people like to watch people absolutely get roided out and go to the gym roided out. So I don't know if that's healthy. But gym culture, gym fans, they sometimes annoy me because all they do is, I go to the gym. Let's get big. And I'm just like, oh, bro, chill. Like, good for you for going to the gym, but don't shit on me because I don't go to the gym. I still look good.
I think a lot of them promote the right things, but they do the wrong things themselves. A lot of them say go to the gym and work out and be healthier, but they themselves are taking a lot of things that make themselves a lot less healthier.
I don't know. I try not to pay attention to those. I look at the health experts. I don't look at personal trainers and stuff. Like, I'm not saying they're uneducated or anything like that. I mean, they have to take a different, techniques and practices and put them all together. But again, I look to health experts, people that are experienced, military personnel, police officers, firefighters are another good reference as well, because these are people that are using these muscles in an applicable environment. So they have to stay physically fit for a certain purpose, because they have to do these movements. They have to stay and qualify if they want to keep their jobs. I don't really look to people that are trainers. I don't care. I only care about people that can, put in the work, actually, and get paid for it. That's what I care about. So, yeah.
I'd say most of them do it right, like most of them definitely trying to sell something to you, but I'd say for the majority of them, they put out good information, but, you have those extreme cases like, Liver King and stuff that just promote crazy lifestyles and PEDs and all that, just trying to tell you you can tame their body when you just can't.
So what could these bad influencers do differently?
Just be open about it, Like, everyone loves Sam Solik. He's a super wholesome guy, and also because he doesn't tell everybody that you can attain his physique. He's not telling everybody to go take PEDs.
I think there's a couple of them on social media that I see. Probably like Sam Solik. He seems like a really positive fitness influencer. I see him all the time, actually. But I don't know. I feel like some of these influencers make these physiques seem attainable to like the youth when it's definitely not. If you're not like just totally roiding up like every day.
So what could they do differently?
Just I don't know. Make it
more obvious.
Yeah, more obvious, or like just make the youth understand like you don't have to roid up. You can still look good or maintain health without juicing.
Lower the bar of what looks good and what doesn't look good.
A little, yeah, sure. Lower the bar.
Do you have body dysmorphia, and do you believe that other people have it too?
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing or that word existed till today, but I definitely have it because I look at myself and I'm like, I'm fat, but then I go downstairs to see my roommate and I'm like, I'm not fat.
No, but I do believe others have it. I don't think it's like it doesn't exist.
Yes. I do think everyone else has it, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say I have it to a degree. I think most guys can relate that. One day they look in the mirror and they're like, damn, just all pudgy and bloated. And then the next day, after a good pump, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be Arnold in a week, man.
What is body dysmorphia?
Body dysmorphia is essentially where you look at yourself and you basically, like, say you're completely jacked, but you look in the mirror and you're like, I'm fat. So you look at yourself lesser than what you actually are.
Okay. I don't have that. I'm fine with how I look, man. But I feel like, yeah, there's definitely people who have that. I think
I'm sexy.
He doesn't know.
Do
you think others have it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You can tell.
With that being said, is there ever a time where you can shame somebody for looking unhealthy? And is there a point where you can shame somebody at all?
Yes, without a doubt in my mind.
So is shaming always okay, or is there a situation in which someone looks unhealthy and you shouldn't shame them?
I mean, if it's uncontrollable, you shouldn't, because it's uncontrollable. But, like, if you're just fat because you're fat and you're like, I just don't want to go to the gym, come on, bro.
Yeah, I'd say the only appropriate use of that is, like, if they're in your face, you're like, what are you doing this, whatever. Like, they're physically interacting with you, then, yeah, shame them, beat them up, I don't care. But other than that, don't go out of your way to harass people. That's just simple etiquette.
Is there a nice way to tell someone they're unhealthy?
Yeah, you just tell them you don't look healthy. And other than that, the rest of it's opinion. At least just try to be objective with it.
Yes.
Is shaming always okay?
Most of the time, yeah.
When would it not be okay?
If they are unable to make themselves healthier.
Yeah, you can. I'd say most social situations probably can't. For me personally, I only really do it if, somebody's already kind of talking about, I'm trying to go to the gym, I haven't been able to really do it. But even then, I wouldn't really call it shaming per se, just...
If you care about someone.
If you care about someone, you can check them and get on their ass about, why not? I don't.
So we'd say shame is a harsh word.
Yeah, it's a weird way. It's a weird.
How would you put it?
I don't know. I always just tell people if they want to get in the gym, just do what you think is fun. Now, you don't always have to do 8 workouts, 4 sets each. You can just go and jog or something. Anything.
So you think less shaming, more motivating?
Yeah, because shaming makes it really hard to actually make that conversation kind of start of getting into the gym. Because for a lot of people, this kind of goes, f*** me then. I don't want to go then, Like, yeah.
They kind of feel excluded.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're not in the group.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's people who are just very, I don't know, very, very unhealthy, overweight, who just don't try to make any type of change, even though they're, like, something's going to fail and they're in their bodies soon. So I think it's okay to shame that kind of thing. But if you're trying to better yourself, I don't think there's no reason to shame someone like that.
Yeah, but you got to shame the health aspect. Like, if you're being realistic, it should be you shame the health aspect and not like the physical aspect of like, damn, you're fat. It should be, damn, you're unhealthy.
Do you think more people are getting healthier because of this new health revolution?
Yeah, definitely an increased gym. I definitely notice a lot more people are going to the gym nowadays than ever before. I think it's also because it's more accessible now than it was.
I think, just the way the human growth is it's gonna exponentially get bigger. Like, people are gonna get healthier, but at the same rate, I think a lot more people are going to get unhealthier, just the way we eat and everything. So, with that being said, I do think that the gym culture as it exists is very good reference for people. And it'll just continue as like a backbone, really. I don't know if it's gonna nourish the need for it, but it'll always be there.
Yes, 100%.
Do you think steroid use is going up because of the health revolution?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've seen a study where it's becoming more of a lifestyle change for like generation Z and millennials to just be going to like the gym as a part of everyday routine and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I definitely say so. It's becoming more of a trend.
Definitely. Yes. A lot of people just going to the gym. Now with this new wave of like influencers, and the gym is popular now. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd say, I think nowadays it's more focused on health than, like back when my dad was in, high school, college. It's like nobody lifted to be healthier. They were lifting to be jacked and fight people, Like, they're going to war.
What decade was your dad in high school? No, let me ask you.
The 90s.
90s.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the new gym culture is making people that shouldn't feel uncomfortable with their body uncomfortable with their body?
No, I think people just feel bad about their bodies because they're too lazy to go work out.
Yeah, but you could say that about anything, You could say that about police. Do police make people feel uncomfortable? Sure, but being healthy and being physically fit is something that's a human is supposed to be. So if you don't feel like you meet those standards, however you apply themselves to you, that's kind of like your problem. So I don't think it's the gym culture in itself. I think it's your own perspective. It's never going to go away, and it shouldn't go away.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd say yeah. It's all over Instagram, all that stuff. Everyone posting their physique, so it's definitely gonna hit a couple people.
A comparison issue.
Yeah, 100%.
Probably, yeah.
If you had to look at modern gym culture as a whole, would you say that it's mostly positive or mostly negative?
I think it's positive for sure because more people are getting healthy, more people are taking their bodies serious, and people are noticing that it's better for their mental health, better for their average day.
I'd say positive. I don't think there's really any negatives about it.
Positive.
Why?
Because it's getting a lot more people to be healthier and stronger.
I'd say it's overall positive. It's definitely a lot more people are getting into it, versus I think people used to be like in the last few years. And of course, there's the PED thing where a lot of people, everyone wants to be a bodybuilder nowadays. But I'd say overall it's been good for, everybody.
Overall positive. A lot of people are staying healthy, but there's definitely some negative side effects, but I think the positives outweigh it for now.
For now? Would you say there's anything in the future that might sway you differently? You have any predictions?
Maybe if all these young kids watching all these influencers really just start ripping roids like heavy to look like them when they grow up. And there's a whole generation of roided up dudes who...
And it sets the new bar
Sets the new bar, yeah.
I'd say it's still overall positive. It's really up to the individual person, or it's it just affects different people differently. Like, it depends on what mindset you have. Like, if you're, I feel like most people who see it negatively, it's like a, how do I say this and not get canceled? It's like they play the victim. They're like, okay, all these people are like saying, like, I've said it a couple times, like these gym influencers, like, their bodies are not like easily obtainable by like the everyday person, when like that's the argument they make, but for like an average everyday gym goer's physique, it's like, this is something that is like not easily attainable, but like through work you can be skinny, you can be healthy. But most people see that and they're like, okay, I'm fat, why can't I be in Victoria's Secret?
Do you think steroid use is going to rise?
Yeah. It, you know, you definitely see it's a trend that these guys are, I don't even know, dude. It's so weird. Let me re-answer that. I'd say yeah, definitely. You know, you go on Reddit and there's a whole subreddit about like steroid horror stories of these young guys just don't know what they're doing, just getting right into it, the whole PED culture, and just messing up all their systems. So.
But do you think those stories are going to make people not want to do it in the future?
Probably not, because most people aren't going to see them. They're going to see Andrew Eubanks and stuff, you know.
So you
being
think
all cut and big.
The positives of juice is going to be viewed more than the negatives, and therefore people are going to do it more?
I'm not sure, because there's a couple like influencers out there whose like whole stance is about being open and honest about that stuff, and there's some of them who just aren't. So I mean, it's kind of weird. I feel like it's a weird spot right now where it's kind of people talking about it.
So it could go either way.
And yeah, people are just like, I don't even know what PEDs are. You know, it's like, I don't know.
And now we're here, 9 weeks later and a whole lot of research completed, and I'm still stumped. If this documentary seems biased, it's because it is. I work out a lot myself, and I couldn't picture a life without the gym. I couldn't picture a life different than my own. But I think it's important for discussion to acknowledge the downsides of a lifestyle, something I hope I did at least decently well. Not every gym goer is honest. Not every gym goer is positive. Not every gym goer or influencer has your best interest in mind. But despite that, the more I tried to look for downsides in overindulging in exercise, it was hard to find really anything. It's just so integral for quality of life. The almost spiritual nature of achieving a physically healthy body has been so watered down. We don't talk about the breath of fresh air after a long run, the extra years we have with the ones we care about, the example we set for those that will come after us. I believe there is so much good in the gym. There is so much good in exercise. If, and only if, you can see past the veil of vanity. Every personal record we hit is undercut by a new personal record to achieve, until the hedonic treadmill crushes our egos, a fate I predict will beset many a gym goer. Some of which will fight back with any number of supplements or chemicals, others will simply let it consume their mental health, and some will accept it gracefully, as it's inevitable. Work out to look good, work out for health, work out for fame, work out for whatever you believe in. I believe any reason to work out is a good enough reason for me. Just when you work out, when you exercise, no matter the reason, every once in a while, take the time to just feel healthier. Don't look in the mirror, don't immediately check your macros, don't check your phone. Take a deep breath. You're alive and well. And that's all you need to be.